This is the world of the campus vets.
She's got a big rotten tongue, and how is a horse going to eat? If you have no tongue, how is she going to keep going?
It makes you a little bit nervous because you've got a very expensive piece of equipment and it's a one-shot deal. Once you pull the cord, that's the end of it.
She ate a pair of her owner's underwear. They actually saw her eat it.
At the Western College of Veterinary Medicine, students in the teaching hospital face a host of medical emergencies. Some seem insurmountable. A 23-year-old thoroughbred named Katella is wasting away. The new mother has recently dropped over 100 pounds. Her owners, Rose Backlund and Brett Dole, rushed the former racehorse to the large animal clinic, baby in tow.
Checked on her on Sunday morning, and I noticed that there was blood coming out of her mouth, so checked it a little closer, and I see she'd split her tongue.
We think that she bit it, but we're uncertain. We checked all over for sharp objects and what she could get into, and we couldn't find anything, so.
She's very special. I bought her when she was 4 months old. She's a real trooper, and we really, really love her.
Kim Robinson, the lead student on this case, isn't optimistic.
She's a 23-year-old mare with the last portion of her tongue that's completely dead. And I was quick to assume, and I guess the owners had felt the same way, that this was going to be the end of her life. This was the end of the road.
If she's going to suffer, we will do the humane thing and put her down. It's hard.
But you're waiting to hear, so you'll find out.
3-year-old BJ suffers from a progressive respiratory disease that causes his windpipe to collapse. Every time the Yorkshire Terrier gets excited, he risks triggering an attack severe enough to kill him.
Good boy. His trachea, the cartilage, which is supposed to keep it open, has become weak, and every time he breathes in, his windpipe flattens out so he can't get any air, and he has the risk of dying acutely.
Dr. Jim Dundas is in his last year of surgical residency at the college. Today, he'll become the first vet in Canada to perform an innovative procedure that may save BJ's life, inserting a device into the dog's windpipe.
Basically, what we're trying to do is keep his trachea open so that he can breathe.
Dr. Dundas and vet student Leah Turner brief BJ's owner, Helen Reichen, on the experimental procedure. BJ was a gift to Helen from her husband, who recently passed away.
Mom has been very, very worried about her little guy. The two of them have been through quite a bit over the last few months, so it'll be, really gratifying if we can get him home to her.
Losing BJ so soon after the death of her husband would be devastating. It's the beginning of another 11-hour shift for Dr. Denelyn Parker, bird and wildlife resident.
It's never the same thing. It's never boring. There's always something different, either a different species or a different disease that you've never seen before. There's always new and exciting things going on, and that's what I really like about it.
Today, she takes on a new group of students.
They've never been in the clinics before in this intensive kind of way, but this is their first day dealing with patients and being involved in taking a history and following the cases all the way through.
Most of the students have never dealt with exotic animals before. Their first patient is a hawk that may have been electrocuted.
This hawk, he was found under some electrical wires. So the thing is today to pull him out, do an exam, see how his tissue looks. If it still looks healthy, then electrocution is going to be much, much further down on our list.
You okay catching it? Okay. So should I try and just grab his right leg?
I wouldn't worry about it. I would just go in and grab both.
Student Lisa Collis will perform the exam on the hawk.
And then right out.
Yeah, okay.
So lie him down on his back. Hold his feet with your left hand. And give a smell of his overall body too. If it was an electrocution at this point, I would expect a distinct non-raptor odor.
That's not the same.
Lisa discovers a mysterious bump on the bird's wing. This is one of the first times an innovative tracheal surgery has been attempted on a dog, and resident surgeon Dr. Jim Dundas is excited to be part of it.
I get to do something that I've never done before. Every day is a learning process in one form or another. I mean, it doesn't stop after you graduate.
A scope gives the surgical team their first glimpse of the dog's diseased windpipe.
We put a scope down the trachea to get a look at how flattened it was, and he looked quite collapsed.
So collapsed, BJ could never survive without intervention. They'll insert wire mesh tubes called stents into BJ.
When we expand them, we'll hold the trachea open from the inside.
Looks like our wire is way, way down there.
Dr. Dundas performs the surgery with faculty surgeon Dr. Cindy Schmann.
So, should we put the guide wire down here?
Okay.
Here we go.
All right, that's going to be tricky.
They rely on a machine called a fluoroscope to help them position the stents.
We're going to be placing these stents under fluoroscopy, which is kind of like real-time x-rays. It's a way to kind of see exactly what we're doing while we're doing it.
Oh, right, okay.
Once the cord is pulled, the stent will expand into place. It is the most crucial moment of the procedure.
It makes you a little bit nervous because you've got a very expensive piece of equipment and it's a one-shot deal. Once you pull the cord, that's the end of it.
Pull it back slowly.
As the surgical team deploys the stent, they run into a problem.
I think it's getting stuck.
Coming up, the team takes a closer look at Katella's tongue. The surgical team is performing an innovative new procedure on BJ, a Yorkshire Terrier with breathing problems. While activating the stent in his trachea, they run into complications.
Hold on.
The guide wire that helps place the stent is stuck in the trachea.
Oh, there we go.
A couple of gentle tugs and the wire pulls free. The stent is now in place.
You're doing a great job. I think it looks like this part is open, so I think you're pretty good.
So far, it looks like he does not collapse anymore as he takes a breath.
There's a little tiny bit of trachea left right up near his voice box that we did not stent. It doesn't appear to need to be stented. Like I said, we'll kind of see how he recovers, and if we need to, we can go back in.
We worry a little bit about pneumonia for the first month, and now we just got to see whether he cooperates.
Katella has nearly severed part of her own tongue. Closer inspection by surgical resident Dr. Ryan Shoemaker and staff veterinarian Dr. Kelly McClellan reveals the extent of the injury.
It's been severed, and it's turned 180 degrees so that the tip where it's normally hanging out of her mouth is actually facing backward. Yeah, typically, horses play with things with their mouths, and a lot of times it's whether it's a edge of a trough or fence. It's a fairly common injury. A lot of times we don't see them because they just kind of cut a quarter through it and they heal. So they heal quite well typically, but this is fairly severe.
She's got a big rotten tongue, and how is a horse gonna eat? That's all they do basically all day is eat. So if you have no tongue, how is she gonna keep going?
The vet team will have to remove 30% of Katella's tongue. Even if the surgery is successful, there's still the worry the horse could starve to death. Something unexpected on a hawk's wing catches the attention of student Lisa Collis.
This lump isn't on, it's on this side and it isn't on this side now. Am I holding it wrong? Is that? Like this one comes right up to a point.
He did have a fracture. Good for you for picking that up.
Okay.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
X-rays confirm Lisa's assessment. The bird does have a broken wing. Dr. Parker no longer suspects electrocution as the cause of the bird's sagging wing.
Okay. We're just going to let him hang out until that fracture is healed.
Once the hawk recovers, he'll be set free.
Well, I'm a little nervous. I haven't had a lot of hands-on cow experience, so it's all pretty exciting, for sure.
My dad's a vet, as well as my grandpa, so I've spent a lot of hours in a veterinary practice before.
Today, first-year students Anna Wallace and Kent Weir learn how to handle cattle at a farm owned by the university.
Because I am one of the people in the class who've had more experience with cattle, I want to make it look like I have more experience with cattle. I don't want to look like I'm, nervous and timid.
The first lesson, getting the cows to cooperate.
There's going to be plenty of times when you're going to be moving around in a pen full of animals, and you don't want them running away before you get a chance to get a close look at them. Maybe you want to take one or two animals that need to be treated. If you can do that in a very gentle and unstressful way, it's going to be a lot better on them.
According to associate researcher Dr. John Watts, cows prefer the slow approach.
If you approach the animal quickly and you're whistling at it and you're waving your arms around, it's not going to let you approach as close as if you were walking up to it very slowly with your hands in your pockets, which is what I want you to do.
I think that what I'm going to learn from it, or I hope to learn from it, is just how to take a step back and use more of what the cow is feeling as opposed to what I think I should do.
The same technique works to move the cows in a specific direction.
You see that? Just cattle move cattle. They just pull each other around. We could have stayed there if we would have coaxed just one or two out and stood back, all of them would have gone.
The students finally get the hang of moving cows, but taking samples of their blood will prove to be an even greater challenge. Coming up, the story of Fluffy the guinea pig's mysterious abdominal pain. In the large animal clinic, a mare has severed a significant part of her tongue.
It's a serious injury, but she could live through it, so.
They'll need to remove the dead portion of the tongue that is preventing her from eating. But surgery under general anesthesia might prove too much for the weakened old horse.
There's always risks with anesthesia, obviously, whether you're a human or you're a horse.
We'll just give her some more sedation and freeze the end of her tongue, and then put a suture around that to keep it from bleeding, and then just cut that off.
Dr. McClellan uses a twitch to hold Katella steady without hurting her.
Just kind of restrains them. Sometimes I think it's a pretty good endorphin release, so it somewhat sedates them too.
Dr. Shoemaker freezes Katella's tongue and begins suturing off the healthy portion.
We're almost done, I promise.
Now the final step, cutting out the damaged tongue.
So I've put a couple sutures here to tie that vessel off, but at least she's not going to bleed, and that's healthy tongue right behind it. So we're not going to cut any more on that off. That's not going to inhibit her eating. And if for the most part, when you get her home, we're going to have to just kind of baby her for a little while until she gets used to eating a little different. And horses grab food with their lips for the most part, unlike cattle, which use their tongue a lot more. Then they bite it off with their front teeth, and the tongue really is just push the food to the back of their mouth so they can actually swallow it. So for the most part, she should do quite well, especially on some softer hay, shorter hay, and some grain.
The vets are very optimistic, and I guess he's seen worse. So the outcome was very good.
I guess it just taught me not to jump to conclusions that it may not be as bad as it seems, even though you've got some big rotten piece hanging out of your mouth.
The old mare is out of pain, but she is still seriously underweight. She'll need to put her shortened tongue to the test immediately. Her life depends on it. Within hours of undergoing an innovative surgery on his trachea, young BJ is recovering more quickly than expected.
Just came back from talking to BJ's mom, who's very pleased that everything seemed to go okay.
His energy is a lot better. He has been coughing but we expect that with the implants, so at least for the next 2 weeks, but he is doing great. So he is getting ready to go home at last. Mama's waiting eagerly.
Here you go, little guy.
Sweetie. Hi. Oh, hi.
It's great to send him home after such a dramatic change.
Oh, right now I'm ecstatic. I'm so happy that he's okay. I really am.
So how's he been doing?
He's doing okay.
Alan Walensky brought in his 3-year-old guinea pig for a follow-up appointment. Fluffy had a large tumor removed from his stomach a week ago, and today is in noticeable pain.
So time to interrupt the students and see how they're doing.
Dr. Parker supervises her students' work on this case.
Give me a brief rundown.
Yep. We're just having a look at Fluffy. Today he seemed a little withdrawn.
But up until now, he's been eating okay?
Yeah, he's eating okay, and we just discovered that he loves bananas. And so we gave him bananas for the last maybe 3 days.
Okay. Did you find anything abnormal there?
It was like we pinged it and it sounded hollow.
Gassy?
It sounded gassy kind of
all over?
All across.
All right. So, what do you think about that? Is that significant at all?
Well, I'm not sure quite what normal is, so...
Yeah, so he's got quite a bit of gas in his belly. And I wouldn't be surprised if his pain this morning was from eating all the bananas, if it's something he's not used to.
With the bellyache resolved, Dr. Parker turns to a more serious topic: the results of the biopsy taken during Fluffy's surgery last week.
It looks like it was a type of cancer, and they say that there's a small chance that it might come back in that area as well. So we'll just keep an eye on it. So he's ready to go. Like I said, no more bananas, at least for a little while, till we see what's going on with him. And if he's still not back to normal tomorrow, give us a call.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Coming up, a puppy with an appetite for underwear.
It's amazing what they can get into.
Kent Weir is part of a group of vet students about to take their first blood tests from cows. But the patients are far from enthusiastic.
Part of the reason they're reluctant to come in too, they're not naive anymore. Some of these the second, third time they've come through for class.
Anna Wallace is a little cow shy, so instructor Dr. Joe Stuckey gives her some encouragement.
Seriously, go in there and push on her. Seriously. Going back. Okay, close it. And don't get too close so that you protect yourself in case she does get loose there.
I hope I do it right the first time.
She doesn't want to let it go.
Just try and keep a steady hand.
Perfect.
You up for that?
I had an image that they were harder to work with than they are, but if it's just, you just have to understand them.
I learned a lot for myself. And also it was so cool to see like people like these BC girls and stuff like that who are like, oh, like 2 days ago they're like freaking out about cows, and now I seem like la la la, I love cows. And
I can work with them now. I think I can work with them. So they're pretty easy. Like, well, at least the ones we had today were pretty easy.
At the small animal clinic, there's a new patient with an appetite for trouble.
She ate a pair of her owner's underwear. They actually saw her eat it and were unable to stop her.
Okay.
Vet student Tara Hootie and small animal medicine intern Dr. Sharon Finster perform a rectal exam on 7-month-old Dakota. Dakota ate the panties 5 days ago, and so far she doesn't seem to have passed them.
On rectal exam, no abnormalities were found. There was no pain or anything. So in these cases, what we like to do is abdominal radiographs.
Because the underwear are not radio opaque and won't show up on the radiograph, we'll be looking for abnormal gas patterns. If you have an obstruction, what you'll see is a lot of gas built up ahead of the obstruction.
Faculty veterinarian Dr. Elizabeth Sneed is called in to consult on the x-rays.
No, I'm not worried about it.
She spots a small amount of gas in the intestines, but no major blockages.
I mean, the safest thing you could do is just say, can we keep your dog in the hospital, re-radiograph him in 12 hours, and just monitor him, right?
The next morning, Tara finds that nature has taken its course.
This morning I found the underwear that had been passed in her cage. As you can see, she's very excited to go home, very bright and alert. She went home with recommendations for the owners to puppy-proof their home. It's amazing what they can get into.
Rested and refreshed, Dakota is hungry to get on with her life.
Come on, let's go see Mom. Come on.
It's been 7 weeks since Katella had a third of her tongue removed due to an injury. Her owner, Rose, can't believe how well the old mare has recovered.
Okay. I looked in her tongue just the other day and it's healed up excellent. And I'd say she's probably gained a good 100 and some pounds since you've seen her last. So it's happily, we got a good ending to this story.
Oh, you stay. You always stay. Ferrets and dogs can get along really well. It depends on the dog and it depends on the ferret, but they just have the right personalities to get along great together.